When Governor John White returned to Roanoke Island in 1590, the only thing he found was silence. The houses were gone, the fences dismantled, and every soul, men, women, and children, had vanished. The only clue was a single word carved deep into the bark of an oak tree: Croatoan. The year was 1587. The Atlantic wind howled across the deck of the Lion, its wooden hull creaking as it cut through gray waters. Beneath the billowing sails stood men and women, 117 souls, leaving behind the old world of England for the promise of a new beginning in America. John White, the colony's governor and a talented artist, stood near the bow, his eyes fixed on the western horizon. His sketchbook was tucked under his arm, the pages filled with maps, faces, and dreams. The new world was more than a land of gold and glory to him. It was a chance to create something eternal. Beside him stood Eleanor Dare, his daughter, heavily pregnant. She clutched her husband Ananias Dare's hand tightly. "Father," she said softly, "will this place truly be our home?" John smiled faintly. "It will, child. The new world is vast. God has given us a second Eden." But beneath his optimism lay unease. The memory of the first Roanoke colony, the one founded in 1585, still haunted the English crown. That settlement had failed disastrously, with men starving, fighting, and finally abandoning the island. But this time, White told himself, things would be different. After weeks at sea, the colonists finally saw land, a stretch of green rising from the mist. Roanoke Island. To most, it was paradise. To the seasoned sailors, it was cursed. As they unloaded supplies, the air was thick with humidity and the scent of pine. Birds shrieked from the treetops, and strange animal cries echoed from the woods. The settlers built their homes of timber and clay, planting corn and beans, and raising fences against the unknown. But the unknown was watching them. From the forest, the Algonquian-speaking Croatoan tribe observed the newcomers with wary eyes. They remembered the English from before, men who had stolen food and shed blood. Now, they watched again as pale faces carved the forest into their own image. Governor White sought peace. He met with Manteo, a Croatoan who had once traveled to England and returned as a bridge between two worlds. "Manteo," White said, "we come not as conquerors but as friends." Manteo nodded but warned, "Not all tribes are your friends. The Secotans remember your iron and your fire." White understood. He had seen how quickly peace could turn to chaos. Weeks later, under the humid August moon, Eleanor Dare gave birth to a baby girl, the first English child born in the New World. They named her Virginia Dare, after the Virgin Queen herself. The colony rejoiced. They believed it a divine sign that this child would mark the beginning of a great nation. But in the surrounding darkness, whispers grew among the natives. They said the white infant was a spirit of change, one that would bring misfortune to both worlds. By autumn, the settlers' supplies dwindled. The promised relief ship from England had not come, and the ocean that had brought them hope now separated them from salvation. Crops withered, the forest grew silent, even friendly tribes began avoiding them. Desperation pushed White to make a painful decision. He would return to England for supplies and return as soon as possible. 3 months, he told his daughter. "I swear it, Eleanor, before winter's end I'll be back." She handed him a locket containing a lock of Virginia's hair. "Then hurry, father. The forest feels alive at night. It watches us." White left Roanoke with a heavy heart. Behind him, 117 lives waited, his daughter, his granddaughter, his people. Ahead lay the endless sea. White's return to England was delayed, not by choice, but by war. The Spanish Armada threatened invasion, and every English ship was seized for defense. For 3 years, White pleaded, begged, and finally found passage back to Roanoke in 1590. When he arrived, the colony was gone. No laughter, no fires, no smoke. The fort was dismantled, houses overgrown with vines, tools rusting in the dirt. On an oak tree near the entrance stood one word, carved deep and deliberate: Croatoan. White searched desperately for signs of life. There were no graves, no bones, no blood, only emptiness. He wanted to sail to Croatoan Island, now known as Hatteras, where he believed his people had gone. But a storm rose that night, and the ship's captain refused to risk his vessel. John White left America for the last time, never to know what became of his colony or his family. Centuries passed, but the question remained: what happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? Historians proposed dozens of theories. Some said the colonists were killed by hostile tribes. Others claimed they were taken in by the Croatoans, absorbed into their community, leaving traces of European features among later generations. In the 1700s, explorers reported hearing Welsh words among native tribes, perhaps descendants of the lost settlers. In 1937, a series of stones, called the Dare Stones, were found, allegedly written by Eleanor Dare herself, telling of their suffering and eventual deaths. Scholars debated their authenticity for decades. In the 1990s, DNA testing hinted at mixed European native ancestry among families near Roanoke's region. But no proof was ever found. The word Croatoan resurfaced in American folklore again and again. When the legendary writer Edgar Allan Poe vanished before his death, the word Croatoan was allegedly found carved into his belongings. When the explorer Amelia Earhart disappeared, her diary reportedly contained the same word. Even sailors lost at sea wrote Croatoan in their logs before vanishing. Was it coincidence, or something darker, a whisper echoing from the vanished colony? In 2020, archaeologists uncovered strange artifacts on Hatteras Island, a blend of English tools and native designs. Nearby, a child's toy made from European glass beads. Perhaps, after all, Virginia Dare lived. Perhaps her descendants walk among us still. The legend began long after the colony vanished. Native storytellers on the Carolina coast spoke of a ghostly white doe, a creature unlike any seen before. She moved through the forest at dawn, silent as mist, her eyes pale blue like the morning sky. The elders said she was not an animal, but a spirit, the daughter of the moon, cursed to wander the island forever. But among the English who later settled in the region, another story grew. They said the white doe was Virginia Dare, the first child born in the New World, transformed by magic or divine punishment. It is said that when the Croatoan tribe took in the surviving settlers, Virginia grew up among them. Her golden hair and light eyes made her a symbol of peace and envy. She learned their tongue, their customs, their songs. Some called her Winona, meaning beloved one. Others whispered that she carried the dual soul of two worlds, neither fully English nor fully native. One night, a shaman jealous of her beauty and power cast a spell. The forest trembled, the winds screamed, and the girl became a doe, her voice forever lost. Centuries later, hunters claimed to see her ghost on moonlit nights, always near Roanoke's ruins. When they aimed their rifles, the creature vanished, leaving behind only the faint sound of a crying child. In the 1700s, English explorers returned to the Outer Banks, drawn by rumors of the lost colony. One of them, John Lawson, an English surveyor and naturalist, recorded something astonishing in 1701. He met members of a tribe on Hatteras Island who claimed their ancestors were white and could speak from a book. He noted, "These people tell us that several of their ancestors were white people and could talk in a book as we do." Lawson described men and women with gray eyes, lighter skin, and European features. Could these be the descendants of the Roanoke settlers, the survivors who merged with the Croatoans? Lawson's account became one of the first credible hints that the colonists hadn't died, but adapted, fading quietly into a new identity. Yet Lawson himself never lived to prove his theory. In 1711, he was captured and executed by a local tribe. His notes survived, his body did not. In 2012, more than 400 years after Roanoke's disappearance, archaeologists at the British Museum re-examined one of John White's original maps, La Virginia Pars. Under the map's surface, hidden beneath a patch of paper, they found something extraordinary, a red and blue fort symbol, invisible to the naked eye. It marked a location about 50 miles west of Roanoke Island. White had hidden it himself. Why? Perhaps he feared Spanish spies, or perhaps he wanted to conceal the colony's true destination, a safer inland site near the Chowan River. Modern archaeologists called this location Site X. When they began digging, they found fragments, a piece of Elizabethan pottery, a gun flint, a small copper ring. Not proof of 117 lives, but a whisper, a sign that some had indeed moved inland, just as the word Croatoan suggested. Dr. Eleanor Brooks had spent her entire career chasing ghosts. In 2015, she led an excavation at Site X, deep in the Carolina woods. A storm was coming, the kind that swallows the coast whole, but she refused to leave. 5 more hours, she told her team. Then we pack. As lightning cracked through the pines, her spade struck something hard, a shard of blue and white ceramic. Beneath it, a rusted buckle and then bone. The skeleton was small, female. DNA tests later revealed a mix of European and indigenous markers. Rare, but possible. The discovery electrified the archaeological world. Newspapers called her the woman who found Virginia Dare. But Brooks wasn't convinced. She stared at the bone fragment under the microscope. "No," she whispered, "this is someone else." What she didn't know, what history still hasn't told us, is that hundreds of miles away, another team digging near the Albemarle Sound would find matching artifacts. Different site, same era. It was as if the lost settlers had split, one group inland, another south. On modern Hatteras Island, the descendants of the Croatoan still live, now called the Hatteras people. They tell stories passed down orally for generations. Elder Jonah Pugh once said to a reporter, "We still speak the word Croatoan with respect. To us, it means more than a place. It means survival." According to their traditions, their ancestors sheltered pale-skinned strangers during a time of hunger and storm. They intermarried, taught them to fish, to hunt, to live with the land, and buried them when the sea took their bones. Archaeologists have found 16th-century English tools in native village sites, used long after any Englishman was around to wield them. It wasn't conquest. It was fusion, 2 worlds bleeding into one, forgotten by both nations. The word Croatoan became an American mystery symbol, appearing across centuries. 1867, a ghost ship named the Carroll A. Deering ran aground off Cape Hatteras. The crew was gone, and the ship's logbook contained the word Croatoan. 1901, in a North Carolina hospital, a dying actor whispered Croatoan as his final word. 1937, on the 350th anniversary of Roanoke, a mysterious stone appeared near Edenton, engraved with words claiming to be from Eleanor Dare herself. 1939, Amelia Earhart's plane disappeared. A mechanic later claimed he once carved Croatoan into her locker as a joke and never saw her again. To skeptics, these were coincidences. To believers, the word was a curse, a mark that linked the living and the vanished. The lost colony became more than a story. It became America's original mystery, symbolizing the nation's birth out of both hope and disappearance. Every American origin myth, from Jamestown to Plymouth, carries echoes of Roanoke. A dream of freedom, built on uncertainty. A faith in new beginnings, shadowed by loss. When the English returned in 1607 to found Jamestown, they brought with them not just guns and tools, but the memory of Roanoke, the lesson that survival required more than bravery. It required unity. And perhaps that is the real meaning of Croatoan, not a curse, but a reminder. A word carved by survivors who refused to die nameless.